Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. My name's Rhiannon Brown, and this is my 5P project presentation. So I decided to focus my project on the LGBTQ plus community and specifically the work that they have been doing to ban conversion therapy. For profession, the NASW very much supports the LGBTQ plus community, specifically stating in Social Work Speaks, NASW is committed to advancing policies and practices that improve the status and well-being of all LGBT people. For my policy, I actually decided to focus on two. I'm going to be talking about House Bill 199 from the legislative session earlier this year, and then also Bill Request 99 that has been put in for the 2021 legislation. The person I decide to focus on is Representative Kim Banta, who represents District 63. And then for practice, I decided to focus on both Fairness Campaign and Ban Conversion Therapy Kentucky because they both work together. So before we get into the 5Ps, I decided to talk about conversion therapy and what is it. So conversion therapy, also occasionally called reparative therapy, is used to attempt to, quote, cure a person of their sexual orientation or their gender identity. It uses tactics such as shaming and other emotional and physical stimuli to make the person associate negative feelings with their sexual orientation or gender identity. Also, to go along with this, there is no scientific backing behind conversion or reparative therapy, and it's actually been found to be harmful specifically to minors who are often forced to attend by their parents or guardians. As I said before, does it work? No. The American Psychological Association, the APA, has specifically stated that it, quote, advises parents, guardians, young people, and their families to avoid sexual orientation change efforts that portray homosexuality as a mental illness or developmental disorder, and rather to seek psychotherapy, social support, and educational services that provide accurate information on sexual orientation and sexuality, increase family and support, school support, and reduce rejection of sexual minority youth. Along with this, in 2009, the American Psychological Association actually reviewed literature on conversion and reparative therapy and found that there was no evidence to back it, and actually found that it was more likely to harm the people undergoing it than it was to change their sexual orientation or gender identity. So as I've said before, they did find that it was more likely to harm. So according to studies done by the UCLA Williams Institute, more than 700,000 LGBTQ people have been subjected to conversion therapy, and an estimated 80,000 LGBTQ youth will actually experience it in the coming years. As I said before, the APA issued a report in 2009, and in this report, they concluded that the risks of the practice of conversion therapy include depression, guilt, helplessness, hopelessness, shame, social withdrawal, suicidality, substance abuse, stress, disappointment, self-blame, decreased self-esteem, and authenticity to others. And as you can see there, there's a lot more that I'm not going to read out loud, but that you can read yourself on the screen. So why did I choose this as my passion? Well, I very much am involved in the LGBTQ plus community. As I said before, conversion therapy has been used against people in the community to attempt to change their sexual identity or their gender identity. And as I said before, it was found to be really harmful, especially when it came to their mental health. Now, why is it specifically my passion? It's my passion because I myself am a part of the LGBTQ plus community, and I have also worked alongside the LGBTQ plus community. I've lived near places that have passed bans on conversion therapy, and I've seen how well they've worked out. And then also, as I said before, many of the people who are being subjected to this conversion therapy are minors and are not able to legally consent to it, and are often forced to do so by parents or guardians. So for profession, as I said before, the NASW is very much supportive of the LGBTQ community and has specifically spoken about how they're disproportionately affected by multiple social issues, and that they are very much committed to advancing the policies and practice that help people in the LGBTQ community. It also explains the fact that many people who are in the LGBTQ community may share a similar history. identify with similar communities and cultural identities, which does mean that many of these people have the same background. Along with this, in the NASW Code of Ethics, it specifically has ethical standards such as Ethical Standard 1.01 and Ethical Standard 6.04a that state that social workers are responsible to their clients and they should engage in social and political action that allows their clients to meet their basic human needs and to be able to develop fully. This very much means that the NASW and social workers would very much be in support of the ban of conversion therapy. As I said before, the main arguments are, like I said, conversion therapy just has been proven to not work, and it's actually been shown that it has really negative effects on those who have been exposed to it. Most of the people who are exposed to it are underage minors who have not consented and are being forced to attend by their parents and or their guardians, whether the parents and or guardians realize that it's negative or not. Also, like I said before, it's been shown to increase the likelihood of self-harm and suicide, and it should be considered a form of torture because it uses both mental and physical means to hurt the person involved, and it does cause longer lasting effects. So onto my policy. Like I said before, I decided to choose two because we had one that sadly died due to the pandemic earlier in the year, and then we also have a new bill request for the legislation in 2021. So House Bill 199 was an act relating to mental health protection and declaring an emergency. It would have created a new section of KRS Chapter 210 that would have defined conversion therapy, mental health professional, and public funds. It also would have prohibited mental health professionals from administering or engaging in conversion therapy with any person under the age of 18. And it also would have prohibited public funds from being used for conversion therapy. As I said before, sadly, it died in session due to the pandemic occurring at the beginning of the year. So instead, the bill request 99 has now been put in for legislation for the year 2021, which is an act relating to youth mental health protection and declaring emergency. It would also create a new section of KRS Chapter 210, but it will define sexual orientation and gender identity change efforts, mental health professionals, and public funds. Along with House Bill 199, it would also prohibit mental health professionals from administering or engaging in conversion therapy with any person under the age of 18. So what's the difference between House Bill 199 and Bill Request 99? The biggest difference is the language that was used. House Bill 199 uses broader language, such as the term conversion therapy, to where Bill Request 99 instead would define sexual orientation and gender identity change efforts. The language was specifically changed so that it's harder for opponents to argue First Amendment rights and whether Bill Request 99 would be infringing on those rights. It would also require a new section of KRS Chapter 211 that would require the Department of Public Health to develop, produce, and disseminate educational materials regarding sexual orientation and gender identity change efforts. So the differences between local and state, because there are two local ordinances that have been passed to ban conversion therapy. So Covington, Kentucky became the first city in Kentucky to ban conversion therapy in March 2020. They did so by changing the city's code of ordinances with a vote of 5-0 by the Board of Commissioners. The change specifically focuses on underage youth 18 years or younger, and this change occurred after Covington passed a fairness ordinance in 2003, and then in 2019 they decided they were going to focus specifically on sexual orientation and gender identity, and then this was passed, like I said, in March of 2020. And then more recently, Louisville became the second city to ban conversion therapy back in September. The Metro Council voted 24-1 to change the city ordinance to ban it. Fairness Campaign, who is located in Louisville, helped draft the ordinance and helped push for it to pass. And Louisville's ordinance is actually drafted closer to the statewide bill, Bill Request 99, than Covington's is. And then along with this, the really nice thing about Louisville's is because Louisville's has been passed and Louisville is one of the biggest cities in Kentucky, this really helps open up opportunity for other Kentucky cities to pass their own city ordinances that would ban conversion therapy. So as I said before, the focus is not necessarily on this just being an LGBTQ issue. A huge part of this is the mental health aspect. A lot of the strategy behind getting the conversion therapy ban passed is to focus on both the mental health issue and the fact that this is also a youth issue because that's who it's occurring to most of the time. Both Fairness Campaign and Ban Conversion Therapy Kentucky present the ban as a protective ban that helps underage youth's mental health. And along with that, both Covington and Louisville presented their bans as a mental health issue. And then also along with this, there's the use of unlikely allies in the church. A lot of preachers and a lot of churches also look at this as a youth mental health issue rather than an LGBTQ plus issue. So the person I decided to focus on is Representative Kim Banta. She was born January 17, 1964, and her home city is Fort Mitchell. She was actually an educator before she ran for office in 2019, and she represents District 63, which covers part of Boone County and part of Kenton County, and she represents the Republican Party. As I said, she started serving in 2019. And she was actually reelected for District 63 during the last November election. And then she's a part of several committees, specifically for youth, schools, and mental health. And then she also sponsored both House Bill 199 and is sponsoring Bill Request 99 and helps to advocate for the Republican support, as I said before, often using mental health as the main platform. Now, I decided to focus on two practices. The very first one is the Fairness Campaign, who is located in Louisville, Kentucky, and they were actually founded in 1991. And what they do is they go across the state of Kentucky and try to help different cities in Kentucky to pass fairness ordinances. As it says in both their vision and mission statements, they seek to dismantle oppression, and are a broad, diverse community focused specifically on the LGBTQ plus community. And then, of course, their core values align with both their vision and mission statements, that LGBTQ plus people have the right to respect, dignity, and full equality, and that all issues of oppression are linked, and that they also believe in nonviolent grassroots organization, which leads to Ban Conversion Therapy Kentucky, which is my second practice, specifically because Fairness Campaign and Ban Conversion Therapy Kentucky often work very close together in order to try to push for these bans to occur. So as their vision statement shows, their hope is that one day conversion therapy will be banned so it can no longer harm children, and that they want to protect their youth from these abusive practices, conversion therapy. As their values state, they believe that conversion therapy is torture and that they must protect the LGBTQ youth of Kentucky. So in conclusion, Bill Request 99, which is the current bill up for legislation in 2021, would create a new section of KRS Chapter 10, Chapter 210, that will define sexual orientation and gender identity changes efforts, mental health professional and public funds. And then along with this, like House Bill 199, it would also prohibit mental health professionals from administering or engaging in conversion therapy with any person under the age of 18. As I said before, the major strategy on how to present this bill has been the mental health effects caused by conversion therapy and the fact that this is occurring to youth under the age of 18. Both Fairness Campaign and Ban Conversion Therapy Kentucky have been so helpful to advocate for the bill and ordinances across the state. As I said before, if you're under the age of 18, you cannot legally consent to conversion therapy, and these youth are often forced to attend by either parents or guardians, even if the parents or guardians do not understand the concerns that come with conversion therapy. And then also conversion therapy often uses torture tactics to try to change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. In conclusion, this is very much a policy that we need to see passed, if nothing, to help protect LGBTQ youth who are under the age of 18 and to help protect their mental health. And then here are my resources. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.